I want to show you my greatest creation so far. It's like right under my desk. Let me just grab it. Bam! That is my pride and joy, James Castro, and he's my firstborn son. And in this video, I want to talk about the key things that I learned from becoming a father, a new father. I'm going to walk you through from pre-labor up to labor and up to the point of birth and what I learned in all three phases and how I'm starting to see the world now. So join me, like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend because it really does help. So jumping right in, overall, the process of becoming a dad has completely shaped the way I see and value and really appreciate the uniqueness and intentionality behind a human life. I just completely have a whole new level of appreciation for how complex yet simple life is. And that I don't mean life as like a philosophy standpoint, but life from a biological standpoint, and the aspect of what it takes to actually keep your heart beating, your lungs, your blood pumping, all these things that have to happen every single day, every second of the day, to just keep you and I alive is extremely complex, but yet it's so simple in the aspect that we don't even think about it. We don't have to wake up every day and say, okay, cool, I gotta breathe X amount of times, and I gotta be able to pump my heart this many times in order to get this much blood into the brain to be able to think and process for my day, right? You don't do that. But yet these things are so valuable, and any missing part or any piece that doesn't happen can lead to catastrophic events where you have a migraine, maybe a heart condition, or asthma, having breathing issues, whatever it is, right? Not being able to think clearly, or even death, right? So these things are alone crazy to think. But the fact that, we're already there, we don't really think about it, but our bodies are at that point where, we've been doing this for a couple of years. But the appreciation that I've kind of found was what it takes to get there, an aspect of creating life. The fact that to create life only takes 9 months is crazy to think. Like, God took 7 days to create the universe, but he took 9 months to create you and I. That really says a lot, you know what I mean? And then even in the grand scope of things, 9 months is not even a lot to really create something that has the potential to have impact beyond time and generations. When I dived into just DNA alone, that just blew my mind. And I've always had like a good appreciation for life and the complexity of what it takes to be alive and how we don't have to think about it. And that's just something I've always had. But when I had a son, when I was doing the doctor appointments and checking, okay, like this is his first time, being able to kick because his feet are developed, or his fingers have developed, or his eyes are being developed, or the fact that, you can hear his heartbeat and how they can hear us in the mother's womb. And then upon birth, being able to identify us by voice because we're the voice that they've heard the most. So things like that have given me like such I want to say more of a front row experience on the appreciation of life. Because I've always had that, but this gave me a different perspective, a different layer of appreciation that I feel like I've never truly had, because I've never made life. I've never done that before. I've never sat with somebody in the process of just kind of like, hey, this is phase 1 where your baby's only, this much and has this ability and is at this size and it's the size of like a grape and is, able to, do this. And I've never sat with anybody along that process until obviously my wife was pregnant. So that as a whole just gave me this amazing, fresh, new level of gratitude and appreciation for how genius God is. And whether that's your belief or not, I'll let you be the one to, take that as you wish. But for me, it just kind of like completely changed a lot. So that was the first point. Moving on to the second thing that completely just blew my mind is the mental and physical strength of my wife. I have a whole new level of respect for her. She was able to go through a 12-hour labor with no drugs, completely 100% natural. And I couldn't tell you that that's something I would do. I mean, I would never be in that position, but that just, completely impressed me. You know what I mean? And honestly, overall, the woman anatomy is very impressive on the way it's designed to give birth. I didn't know this, but if a woman is in a coma and pregnant, her body will give birth automatically. Like the body knows what to do in the process of birth, which is like, I don't know why I've always thought it was something like really complex and you have to like do all these crazy things, because I guess that's how TV kind of portrays it. But that alone was like, man, that's crazy. And how the baby knows how to maneuver through the womb and how to like do it in a safe way. That way, you know, that way the mother doesn't get hurt or the baby doesn't get hurt in the process. And it's just like, how do you even know that? You know what I'm saying? It's just crazy to me. And then the fact that my wife was able to, you know, mentally be in the game and for, you know, 12 hours straight, it's like running a marathon. Do that for 12 hours straight. She was like surviving off of honey sticks and coconut water. But, you know, I have a whole new level of appreciation and respect for my wife, for sure, 110%. And now lastly, one of the biggest things that I took from this whole process of becoming a father is that the process of birth is actually parallel to the creation of anything great. There's highs and lows, there's pain points, there's extreme pain points, and then there's even moments of self-doubt and regret. And that actually happens all in pregnancy. There's a lot of moments where you start off strong, you're doing, you know, everything that you've been prepared for. You have, you know, a good idea of like, you know, what birth kind of is like, you know, from taking classes and all these things. But there's things that you're not always going to be prepared for. And there's things that actually get so painful in the aspect of being in a state of regret and even self-doubt. And in pregnancy, it's very common that you're in labor for like X amount of hours, usually about like 10, maybe 7 to 10 hours. And you're going to hit a point where you're about to give birth. And in that point, it's actually going to be the highest amount of pain that you're going to feel. And in the class that we took prior, they actually told us that you have to be aware of that point, because it's going to be such a high, intense feeling of pain that you're actually going to start to say things that like, why did I do this? Why are we even in this position? Like regretting, you know, wanting to have a kid, like wishing that this was never, you know, a thing, all these things, like just going back on all your thoughts. And it's very important to have an anchor point, a support system of like we had a doula, we had a midwife, and then obviously I was there to support my wife and reminding her that, hey, this is that moment that is right before the breakthrough, meaning that you're actually right there. You're so close to giving birth, and that you need to, you know, keep pushing, keep your head in the game and be able to actually see it through. And it's really important because what the mentality is that when you hit that high level of pain, you look at, I was in labor for like 10 hours and the pain was, you know, it sucked, but it wasn't as intense. So then you hit that high threshold of pain and you're like, man, I got to do this again for another 10 hours. And then you get to a point where you actually want to give up. And one of the biggest things within women that are trying to do natural birth is that they usually tend to get sent to hospitals to be induced because of exhaustion, not because their body can't handle it or because, you know, there's a technicality. Like it's mainly due because they get exhausted, they mentally give up. What that taught me is, you know, how we're, you know, in seasons of our lives, we're always striving. I mean, most people are always trying to do great things. And within that process, there becomes a lot of obstacles. There's a lot of issues, and sometimes there's highs and lows, but there's always going to be that really high threshold of pain that I'm actually was experiencing in my life. You know, up to my son and my new business that's 2 years old and moving into a studio space, all these things. I was feeling high level of pain in the sense of like, I was super exhausted, like overly stretched in capacity. I was almost like regretting, you know, doing all these things, taking all this stuff and wishing that maybe like, what if I just got a normal job and just kind of like, you know, was like just chilling, you know what I mean? And I realized like, hey, this means I'm right there. I'm really close to the breakthrough. And I had to remind myself. And the thing is, you have to have kind of like in labor, at least how we did it, is you have to have those anchor points. You have to have people surround, you have to be strategic about the people that you put around in that room. whether it's a doula, whether it's, your husband or your midwife in the reference of like giving birth, right? Whether you put, a mentor in this room and you have like a good friend of yours, maybe somebody who's like a brother to you, maybe someone who's a father to you, maybe your father, all these things, right? You have to strategically put these people into place. And that way they know where you're at and they can always be your anchor in those moments to be able to pull you back down and be like, hey, look, this may be painful. This may suck right now, but you're almost there. You're about to hit that breakthrough. That's something that I straight up was like it was crazy how parallel was for me in the season of my life and all that. And even to take that thought deeper, I actually realized that one of the biggest things that my wife's labor was, I feel like, a lot longer than it should have been. 12 hours is pretty good in general. Like some people do 24, 48 hours. Not saying that she did a bad job. She did a great job. But what I noticed was that when she was hitting that high threshold in pain, she really was getting to that point where she was regretting all these things, but then we anchored her down. But then the next thing that she did that actually slowed the process down was that she was so angry at the pain and so like over it. Like she's like, I want this done. Like she was actually getting upset that the contractions were ending because they're in intervals, and she just wanted the contraction to go along, like just keep going so this baby can get pushed out. And she wanted to force it. She was trying to overly force it, and she was trying to fight the pain is really what it was. And what one of the midwives said is that she needs to submit to it, needs to ride the pain and actually relax her body, because fighting the pain is actually going to create more of a delay in the pregnancy, because the baby has to maneuver its way out in a strategic way and in a very like slow but steady race kind of thing to be able to make it a safe birth for the baby and for the mother. And a lot of times, I feel like we're in that high pain threshold, and we tend to maybe come to the agreement of and understanding, okay, cool, I'm almost there. But then you're just trying to power through it, and instead of like submitting to it, not in the sense of like submitting in a sense of giving up, but submitting into the sense of like almost letting yourself be guided by the pain. You have to relax your body in birth, right, to be able to let the process kind of continue. If not, the baby kind of then starts to say, hey, we're just going to wait kind of thing. And so, a lot of times we try to fight the pain and it just exhausts us, makes us more tired, doesn't really make any progress. And the reason why is because we're trying to get it done like quicker. We're like, hey, I just want to get this over with faster. But the thing is, if we tend to do that, try to shortcut our way out of it, we're probably going to hurt ourselves in the process. And whatever we create may be, hurt in the process as well, right? It may not come out how we intended, or, we may have overstretched and completely like hurt ourselves in a way that isn't progressive. It's more of degressive, right? So we want to make sure that we're also understanding, the season that we're in, but then also understanding that, hey, okay, cool, what is it that I'm supposed to learn? Take the time to relax and what is it that I'm supposed to really take in from this breakthrough moment. It's one of those things where you're being forged under the fire kind of thing. You can't be rushing the process is pretty much what I'm saying. So with that being said, those are the key points, key things that I learned in the process of becoming a father. Hopefully if you are a dad, becoming a dad, if this resonates with you, like, comment, share with a friend. I would love to hear feedback on it. I have no idea on what I'm doing as a father, so I'm not talking from a point of like, I know it all. This is all brand new to me, and I want to share the process with you. I want to talk about it. I want to really, invite people to the conversation as well. I feel like fatherhood is something that needs to be talked about more. I feel like it's one of the biggest missing keys to our society today. Unfortunately, there's a lot of fatherlessness. There's a lot of, cultural trashing of being a father. Usually, like if you look at TVs, the dad's always like this idiot who's incompetent and things like that. And I feel like through time, it has created this ripple effect within our society. So again, it is a new thing for me. I would love to talk about it. And if you guys want to hear more about this topic, about being a dad, things I've learned, things that I'm learning, feel free to comment down below, shoot me a DM if you have any questions or any suggestions on topics like this, and I will see you on the next one.